Hey guys, so today is October 30th, 2021, and I'm going to go over what got done yesterday on Friday the 29th and what my goals are today for October 30th, which is a Saturday. So yesterday, I got all of the funds wired for closing on my house. Closing is going to be on Monday, and so all of that is ready to go for the closing meeting we have where we sign all the paperwork. I also got the GoPro set up here with the media mod and the video card here to use the GoPro as a webcam with full video stabilization and video settings, and also an external microphone. That's the other thing the Media Mod gives you, a 3mm mic jack or 3.5mm mic jack there. But today I had a whole bunch of stuff that I was aiming to do and that kind of got accomplished. So I really started to organize and pack stuff today. I have all these bins. I actually bought a whole bunch of them from Home Depot. So I think they're about 20 liters and they're pretty cheap, only like $9 a bin. I got like 14 of them or something. And this is kind of used in place of boxes. You can actually stack them so they don't take up room. And they're going to be kind of like permanent storage to keep things nice and neat and organized in the house once we move there. I also spent a lot of time researching like the settings you want to use for indoor and outdoor shots on the GoPro, setting up different video profiles here. So setting like the ISO settings and the aperture and the shutter speed and frame rate and things like that, depending on the lighting levels and what you're shooting for. Are you using linear? Are you using linear with horizon leveling? And how much image video stabilization do you have? Because the more video stabilization you have, the more the image is cropped and a whole bunch of stuff like this. So I've got it all set up now. I'm happy with it. I've tested it. Especially the indoor setting is going to be used when I do the house walkthrough in a few days here. The outdoor will be used when I go through the exterior of the house as well. And then the movement here, we'll do more of that when I go mountain biking. I'm actually planning on testing the mountain biking tomorrow too. We're going to go to the trail, and now that I have the chest mount, try to get up a good angles for when I go mountain biking on the trails there, test out that 4K footage even more. But nonetheless, I also tested for the first time the built-in GoPro mics. Now this is without the Media Mod, which has kind of like a directional mic. I don't like the mics on the Media Mod. I don't think they're particularly good, but the GoPro mics are actually okay when it's just the GoPro, not in the Media Mod. And I tested this primarily when I was doing a 4K at 24 frames per second point of view recording using the shoulder mount that I got set up yesterday. So this shoulder mount here. I actually just went for a drive in my car, drove to a local park when I was going to go talk to someone on the phone, and just ended up recording it on the GoPro here. And so, it has a big shot, mostly the steering wheel and the car stuff in the shot. It's not exactly the best perspective, but a very good kind of testing demo capabilities here of shooting 4K. And so video is 4K. It's about like 8 minutes long or something. I kind of sit there and ramble about video and audio stuff too while I'm driving there in the car. But this was my test of the point of view GoPro recording, kind of showing proof of concept from when I go record my walkthrough of the house in 4K later this week. I also, after I did that, I had to figure out how you extract the video from the micro SD card. I actually never done it before. I've used SD cards before on other cameras, but it's kind of like an adapter for the micro SD card. And I actually had to figure out how you get it out of the GoPro. You have to like press down and then it pops up and you can pull it out. Also how to compress the huge 4K video file. So, it came out to be like 9 gigabytes or something, and sat there, used FFmpeg to compress it using the H.264 video codec. Using compression factor of about 30, I think. So it ended up getting down to, I don't know, maybe 300 megabytes or something for the entire 4K video over 8 minutes rather than 9 gigabytes. So that's pretty good, right? But it took quite a long time. And here I am. I think my computer is getting a bit long in the tooth. I have like the Surface Pro. I think it's like the 5th generation or something. Is it the 5th generation? I don't know. It's not. Yeah, I think it is the 5th, not the 4th, but the 5th. And so, it has an i5 CPU in it, and only 8 gigs of RAM and stuff. And it was definitely taking a while here. I guess I was reading and writing also directly to the SD card, which has some lower transfer rates as well. So probably would have sped it up if I transferred the video onto the system memory as well, which probably has read-write speeds and like, I don't know, much faster at least. And then I also had to splice everything together, because when you record big things like in 4K, GoPro will actually split the videos at I think it's like 2.2 gigabytes or 5 gigabytes, depending on the kind of thing. And so you end up with these multiple video files that get concatenated together when you play it back on the camera itself. But when you're transferring these things to the computer, well, you actually have to splice them together. And so, making sure I knew how to concatenate the videos. And so this was all like the processing bit of it. Now, later on in the day as well, once this had come in the mail from Amazon, I also was testing the chest mount setup and the point of view footage from the chest mount. It's a little bit different mounting than the shoulder. I think I actually like the chest mount better. It doesn't kind of feel like it's interfering with your movements as much. It's not quite as like in your way, I think, as the shoulder mount is. But the shoulder mount does give a slightly different perspective. And so, maybe I'll use both over time, but I think I'll probably end up using the chest mount more. It's a lot more stable and kind of secure because, your chest doesn't really move as much as other parts of your body. So I got the chest mount, tested that, probably use it more like I mentioned just earlier here to go mountain biking tomorrow. Now, I also prepared for the Bible study. I wasn't quite sure what we were going to do today. We did end up discussing more about kickstarting the activity on our forum that we have. It's been a little bit silent, just people have been busy and stuff, but we want to make sure that it presents this kind of open, welcoming environment because we have activity and stuff, on the prayer thread and all of these other things. So we're kind of brainstorming ways in which we can make the forum active so that it is kind of desirable for the new people and seems like an inviting community and stuff. And in that, we spent a lot of time talking about how socializing, so the fellowship between us as brothers and sisters in the body of Christ, how that socializing that's not so dedicated to Bible study and theology and stuff, well, how does that fit in given that our primary focus should be on the Word of God? And so we also talked a fair bit on the distribution of interaction. So we have kind of a smaller group here where we meet on Zoom and stuff, and the people involved in that is, kind of smaller than the full subset of people on the forum, and kind of how we distribute the interaction we have across the forum, which kind of has more people, but not as some people kind of just read, they don't interact as much. The WhatsApp group and then the Zoom calls we have. So we kind of talked about the breakdown and distribution of the time we spend in all of these things. And then finally, also how we might search through and reference past conversations in our smaller group interaction here. So WhatsApp in particular, that was kind of one of the things we were talking about was, well, is WhatsApp really the best? Because can we go back and reference conversations, search, filter them based on like tags and who said what and things like that. And so some ideas based on that as outcome. I'm writing up all the conclusions from this we have, kind of summarizing the stuff we talked about and the outcomes we're going to do moving forward. Probably explain this more in some other separate video eventually, but I think what we kind of decided to do is stick with WhatsApp because it's very convenient, has a good user interface, people are comfortable with it and stuff, but then I'll export the messages that we have there and then kind of manually clean them up to kind of delete the messages that we don't care to archive because they're not so important for like referencing later, like in terms of being like a theological discussion or something. And then after I've cleaned that up, I can like tag thing by subject and we can sort and filter and stuff based on that. I'll probably kind of end up just building a custom HTML page out of the text file that we can export there. So that's probably what we're going to do in terms of searching through and referencing the conversations here from that group, rather than, I don't know, moving it onto a private part of the forum or something like that. But that's what my goals were for today. This thing here, we were talking about all this for a few hours actually. Quite a good discussion here today about kind of how we plan to grow the fellowship community that we have in the truth here, and distribute our time to make sure that not only are we keeping the forum itself active, but that all of these other things we're doing on the WhatsApp group and the Zoom calls, that we're kind of using the right tool for the right job and that everything matches and flows seamlessly and all of that. Plenty of discussion, lots of kind of back and forth, making sure that we're sharpening each other in our reasoning as to why we're doing all of the things we're doing and making good choices in all this. So plenty of GoPro stuff today, plenty of kind of meta stuff about setting up our community more moving forward in the future. And then tomorrow, like I mentioned, I'll probably test out some mountain biking with the GoPro, as well as continuing on more to do packing and stuff. The other thing that I might get to is kind of like preparing all of the chairs and stuff to get moved into the vinyl plank, make sure stuff doesn't scratch the floors, because some stuff came on Amazon for that, like the felt pads, but we'll see if I get to that tomorrow or not. And so with all that, I will talk to people then.